Some nights in the NBA playoffs are not just games, they are moments carved permanently into the soul of basketball. Nights where individual brilliance collides with collective drama, where records shatter and legends are born under the brightest lights the sport has to offer. One such night unfolded during Game 6 of the 2016 Western Conference Finals, when Klay Thompson of the Golden State Warriors did something no player had ever done before in playoff history. He knocked down 10 three-pointers in a single game, a record that left arenas speechless and analysts searching for new words. It was not just shooting, it was a surgical, relentless assault on the arc that redefined what was possible in a playoff setting. That same era produced another jaw-dropping moment from J.R. Smith, who launched a three-pointer from approximately 35 feet out a distance most players would not even consider in a regular season game, let alone the playoffs. The shot was a statement of audacity, a reminder that in the postseason, the extraordinary becomes routine for those fearless enough to attempt it. Meanwhile, in a dominant display of team basketball elsewhere in the playoffs, the Atlanta Hawks. KS dismantled the Washington Wizards by a final score of 106-82. The 24-point margin told the story of a team completely in control, executing on both ends of the floor and leaving their opponents with no answers from the opening tip to the final buzzer. Western Conference semifinals provided their own share of heart-stopping drama. In Game 1 of the series, Joe Johnson delivered a game-winning shot for the Utah Jazz, a moment of pure clutch brilliance that swung the series momentum and reminded every fan watching why the playoffs produce heroes that the regular season simply cannot. Gerald Green added his own chapter to that same game, setting a playoff career high in scoring, a personal milestone achieved on the grandest stage, proving that the postseason has a unique way of pulling the very best out of players who rise to meet it. But perhaps no single moment from the 2016 postseason burned itself into the collective memory of basketball fans quite like LeBron James' block on Stephen Curry in the 2016 NBA Finals. With the game hanging in the balance, LeBron chased down Curry at the rim and rejected the shot with a ferocity that felt like the entire weight of Cleveland's championship dreams riding on one play. It was instinct, will, and athleticism fused into a single second that the world watched over and over again. The hardwood floors of NBA arenas have witnessed countless moments that defy logic, moments that make grown men leap from their seats and children dream of one day standing beneath those bright lights with the ball in their hands. But few stretches in recent NBA postseason history have packed as much electricity, heartbreak, and pure basketball brilliance as the collection of nights defined by these legendary performances and game-changing plays. It was the kind of April evening in Atlanta where the crowd inside Phillips Arena believed their Hawks were ready to make a statement. The Washington Wizards arrived as the opposition, but by the time the final buzzer echoed across the arena, the scoreboard told a story of total dominance. Atlanta Hawks 106, Washington Wizards 82. A 24-point margin that was not merely a victory, but a declaration. Every possession in that game felt purposeful, every defensive stop felt personal, and by the fourth quarter, the outcome was never in doubt. That scoreline would be remembered not just as a number but as proof that on certain nights, one team simply arrives ready to play, and the other does not. Across those same playoffs, in a game that would test nerves and reward patience, Joe Johnson stepped forward in the most important moment imaginable. Playing for the Utah Jazz in Game 1 of their Western Conference semifinals series, Johnson caught the ball with the clock winding down and the weight of an entire franchise resting on his shoulders. Lesser players hesitate. Johnson did not. He rose, released, and watched the ball drop cleanly through the net for a game-winning shot that sent his team home with victory, and sent a message to every remaining playoff contender that the Jazz were not to be taken lightly. It was the kind of shot that defines careers, the kind of moment that gets replayed on highlight shows for decades, and Johnson delivered it without flinching. That same postseason saw Gerald Green seize his own moment of personal glory. In a game that pushed him to the very edge of his abilities, Green reached a milestone that every professional athlete privately chases, but rarely discusses publicly. He set his playoff career high score, pouring in points with a confidence and rhythm that made the performance look almost effortless from the outside, even though everyone inside the game understood the immense pressure that comes with delivering on the biggest stage. Career highs in the playoffs are not accidents. They are the product of preparation meeting opportunity, and on that night, Green made certain those two forces collided perfectly. Then there was J.R. Smith, A man who has always carried a reputation for attempting shots that polite basketball analysts might describe as adventurous. Smith launched a three-pointer from approximately 35 feet away from the basket, a distance that sits well beyond the arc, well beyond the range where most professional shooters feel comfortable, and well beyond the point where coaches watching from the sidelines maintain steady heart rates. The ball went in. Of course it did, because J.R. Smith launching a 35-foot three-pointer in a playoff game and watching it fall is the kind of basketball chaos that the postseason seems specifically designed to produce. But no conversation about that era of NBA playoff basketball can exist without arriving at Oakland, at the Oracle Arena, at the 2016 Western Conference Finals. And the night Klay Thompson turned a basketball game into a history lesson. Game 6. The Golden State Warriors versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. Thompson stood beyond the arc, again and again, throughout that game, each shot leaving his fingertips with the same mechanical precision, the same high release, the same unwavering confidence. By the time the night concluded, Thompson had made 10 three-pointers in a single playoff game, setting the NBA playoff record at that time. 10 in a single game. Against playoff-caliber defense, with everything on the line, with an entire season balanced on every possession, Klay Thompson made 10 three-pointers and reminded everyone watching that they were in the presence of one of the purest shooters the sport has ever produced. That Warriors team advanced, as history records, all the way to the NBA Finals, where they met LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers, and it was in those finals that one of the most discussed defensive plays in basketball history occurred. The Cavaliers were protecting a lead late in a decisive game, the kind of situation where one mistake ends everything. Stephen Curry drove toward the rim with the purpose and speed that had made him the most dangerous offensive player on the planet. LeBron James, reading the play, timing his movement with the instincts of a player who had spent his entire life preparing for moments exactly like this one, came from behind and blocked Stephen Curry at the rim. Clean, emphatic. The kind of block that changes not just a possession but the psychological temperature of an entire series. James never said a word. He did not need to. The play spoke with a volume that no microphone could properly capture. And finally, as if that era needed one more unforgettable moment, James Harden provided it in the form of pure offensive instinct. The clock was expiring, the game was hanging in the balance, and Harden caught the ball, rose from three-point range, and released a shot just as time ran out. The buzzer sounded, the ball was still in the air, and then it went through the net, tying the game at the last possible legal moment, and sending the arena into a complete eruption. A buzzer-beating three-pointer from James Harden to tie the game. It was the kind of shot that reminds every fan sitting at home why they set aside their evenings for playoff basketball, why they stay up past reasonable hours, and why, no matter what else is happening in the world, the NBA postseason never fails to deliver something worth remembering. These were not just games. These were moments built from the specific combination of talent, pressure, and perfect timing that the playoff stage creates, and that no regular season game can fully replicate.